After the passing of the previous Rebbe, that is Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, as he called the Rayatz, on the 10th day of the month of Shvat in the year 1950, Chassidim, who were left without a Rebbe, were anxiously waiting for the Rebbe, that is the previous Rebbe's son-in-law, to take over the leadership. Finally, very reluctantly, the Rebbe accepted his position a year later. And it was with tremendous trepidation and excitement, with a relatively large crowd assembled in 770, which is the headquarters of, starting from the Frierdiker Rebbe until today, on the night of the 11th of Shvat, between the 10th and the 11th, in 1951, Chassidim finally realized that the Rebbe accepted this all-important mantle of leadership as Rebbe. And this occurred when the Rebbe started reciting the Chassidic discourse on the words Basi Legani, which actually, that was a discourse that the previous Rebbe prepared for that date in honor of the yahrzeit of his mother. The Rebbe made this mimer, this discourse, into the cornerstone of his entire leadership. The Mama starts, this discourse starts with the words of King Solomon, Basi Legani Achoisikalo. God says, I have returned to my original garden. Explaining, he's referring to when God created the world, Adam Rishon was in Gan Eden. Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, was the place where God was fully revealed. But unfortunately, due to his sin and the consecutive generations of sinning more and more, God's presence was continuously removed, distanced, concealed further and further from this world, to the point that mankind has completely forgotten or ignored, rejected the existence of God. Until Avraham Avinu came, and he started to reverse that course of concealment and bring the awareness of godliness into this world, by teaching humanity the belief in one God. And this continued for the next generations, Yitzchak, Yaakov, etc., until Moshe Rabbeinu, who was the 7th generation after Avraham Avinu, and he brought us meaning the Jewish people, to Mount Sinai, where we received the Torah. As such, we, the Jewish people, primarily received the mission to transform this seemingly ungodly world to a world where God is present, where God is relevant, where God is involved in all aspects of our personal and communal lives. And that's why we are called in the Torah, actually the parashat of this week, in the parashat Bo. The pasuk says, "Vahi miketz shloshim shana." It came to pass at the end of 430 years, shloshim va'arba me'or shana. Vahi be'etzem hayom hazeh, and during that very day, yotzu kol tzivois Hashem mimitzrayim. All the legions of the Lord, the army of God, went out of the land of Egypt. We are called the army because we have been tasked to be God's legionnaires, God's army, to fight the darkness of the world by illuminating it with the godly light of Torah and mitzvahs. Army in Hebrew is called tzava. But tzava actually has 3 meanings. First, army, a set time, and colorful, very beauty. And the Rebbe goes on to explain that indeed this is our mission. We are the 7th generation since the inception of Chabad Hasidism by the founder of the Alter Rebbe, the Baal HaTanya. And it is our mission to complete that journey and fully establish godliness in this world by making this world fully compatible and permeated with God's message, Torah and mitzvahs. And this is done like an army. Army, first of all, is based on Kabbalat Ol, accepting and executing orders. An army is always extremely punctual and carries out its mission in a timely fashion. Finally, an army is made up of all kinds of soldiers, all kinds of individuals, and altogether it blends into the beautiful fabric of a well-disciplined and effective army. So the Rebbe says that we need to remember that we are the godly legion, and we as a nation are made up of multiple colors and shades. And we have to remember that together we weave the beautiful tapestry of Am Yisrael. Our mission must be accomplished in a timely fashion. And yes, friends, the time is now.